everyone, I'm Ryan.
I'm Tabitha.
And we're here to show you some more simple science experiments you can make at home. It's nice to see you again today. If you're watching, please write in and say hi. Today we're going to be talking about, because it's Easter on Saturday, or Sunday, and it's Passover where we eat lots of treats, and it was somebody's birthday this weekend.
Nice.
So we're going to be talking about sugar and fun treats we can make. Now,
Ice cream.
that's right. The first thing we're going to show you is how to make ice cream at home. Now, I don't know if you're like us, but we get grocery deliveries and stuff like that because we all can't leave the house. But we forgot to get ice cream. And
that is very rude for my daddy to say.
yes, it's very rude for me to have run out of ice cream. So we decided we could make some ice cream at home and show you how to make ice cream out of very simple materials that you might have at home. And then we could all have ice cream. So you need two very important things. You must have a Ziploc bag. You want one small Ziploc bag and one large Ziploc bag, okay? So this is going to be your small one. Here we have Olaf, because appropriate. If you have small children in the house, you too may have only frozen Ziplocs. And you're going to need half and half, sugar, and vanilla, and salt, okay?
Can you please that's going to
Anyway, so what you're going to do first is you're going to want to mix the stuff that's in here first.
And first
You have,
can I hold them up?
hi Brody, how you doing?
I don't hold them up.
You have half and half. And you pour that right into your, all of it. Yep, exactly. Then you want 1 tablespoon of sugar. Very important. Now, we think of vanilla ice cream sometimes as plain ice cream, but it's not. Plain ice cream is pretty gross. So you need to add vanilla, even if you're making a different flavor, even if you're adding some cocoa powder or something like that. You've got to add vanilla, or else ice cream is going to be fairly gross. So let's put the vanilla in. All right. And this will someday, Olaf, you're drowning in ice cream, become ice cream.
Then we can eat it.
Mm-hmm. Now, then you're going to want to take your big Ziploc bag, okay? And you're going to want to add ice. Maybe around, if you're measuring, just add a lot of ice, but 3 cups of ice.
Give me, please.
See, we've got a lot of ice in here.
Hi, how nice.
And this ice would not be good to eat because you're going to put in at least 1/3 of a cup of salt. Okay? So at least 1/3 of a cup of salt. Now, if you have rock salt from our aborted winter, if you have rock salt from our aborted winter, then you can use rock salt, which is better. If you have just regular home salt, that works too. So what we're taking advantage of is that ice on its own is not going to cool down the ice cream quite as much as we want it to. What we want to do is to make it even colder, and adding salt to the ice is going to increase its chilling properties. So what you're going to do is put your big bag. We started one a little bit earlier, so
I want to see that.
yeah, we started this also one. And we're going to put it into your little bag, okay? Then you're going to close it up. And what you're going to do is for the next 10 or 15, 20 minutes, next little while, shake it and sort of knead it together. So what you're doing is distributing the cold all across them. And so maybe for the rest of the time that we're here, you can be working on that and kneading that together. Or just do it after this ends. And then by the end of that, you'll have some nice ice cream together.
Now what are we doing?
All right. Now, while you're working on that, if you're squeezing that, or you hand it off to your mom or dad who can squeeze that, we're going to make some sugar rainbows. Now, this is very cool. What I want you to get is maybe 4 different little glasses. I'm using these test tubes over here, or these little vials. And you're going to want to sort out some sugar. Now, for this, you're only going to need warm water. You're going to want and sugar and food coloring, if you have food coloring.
We have food coloring.
We do have food coloring. So, in your tubes, I put no sugar in this one. I put 2 tablespoons in here. I put 3 tablespoons in here.
4 tablespoons in here.
Exactly. So each of these is going to get more and more sugar. Now, water is very soluble, or sugar is very soluble. So when we put warm water in here, and do make sure that it's warm, the sugar is going to dissolve into it. So let's do that first. It does not, the ratio between each one matters. You want to make sure you're using increasingly greater amounts of sugar, but the actual number of tablespoons and stuff like that doesn't necessarily make a difference. Just make sure that there's a drastic enough increment from one to the other. So I'm going to put some water in these, okay? And you're going to help me stir.
What did you do? You put nothing.
I didn't put any in this one
Why?
because you'll see. Okay. And you want to make sure that when you're filling this, you use the same amount of water for each one. So there's one. Two. And 4. Now we're not actually drinking these. Don't worry about that. And so what you want to do is once you've got them in here.
What are you doing with the water?
The butter's out because Mommy was baking with it.
Now can we pour?
So all of these, we're going to stir them, and I want you to stir them until the salt disappears. Okay? You can stir with me, okay? Here, you stir that one.
I don't see any salt.
Yep, so until it gets as clear as you can kind of make it. Around and around. Alright. Sometimes with the really high concentrations of salt, it's going to take you a little while for it to totally disappear. So look, there, that looks a lot clearer, right? Okay. And now we're going to put in the food coloring. Now make sure you've kept these in the right order so you know which is which. Okay. So we're going to put some of these in. Now will you help me stir again?
One is great.
Whoop, that one. Good.
Red.
Mm-hmm. Can you stir it for me? And then orange. Again, if you watch this for a few weeks, you know that I only have the gel food coloring, and the non-gel food coloring works a little bit better, but you know. Okay. And some yellow.
That's green.
Well, it's got a green tip because we used it before. It's actually yellow. And then green. So we've got the colors of the rainbow. Do you remember the acronym for remembering the colors of the rainbow?
I know every color of the rainbow bag.
do you?
Cat. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple.
That's right. Roy G. Biv. All right. Start the orange. Okay.
Can I start off the yellow?
Mm-hmm. Because it's your favorite.
And I also want to do the green.
So here you go. So you can see our colors.
Now what do we do?
Now, you can pour these in. We're going to use a pipette. And I'm going to show you how to do this. But you're going to take the heaviest first. And put it into...
A jar. The other colors into the same color.
Mm-hmm.
And now
Now, if this has worked,
I can't see the orange.
let's see if it's easy enough to see the difference in this one. Yeah. And what you can see at the bottom, it's red, but then it goes to orange, and then yellow, and at the very top is the green.
Can I see?
I'll put a little bit more of the green in here so you can see.
Can I see? Oh.
So what's happening as you do this, and I'll actually take up a little from in the pipette at the same time.
What are we going to do with the rest of the colors? I have an idea. If we go outside, we can pour these on the water and then it will have colorful grass.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take, so you can see it in here. What it does is it separates these out by the rainbow. Now, if I take them up with a pipette, or you can use a straw and just cover the top of the straw, you'll see that they separate really easily. So watch. Green. If I don't let go, orange. You can see in here, they've separated themselves out by the rainbow. The reason that they do this is because the one with lots of sugar in it is heaviest. It's a denser mix. It's got all that sugar inside. The one that's orange here, where we used slightly less sugar, slightly less dense. And so the one that's heaviest sinks to the very bottom, the red. The one that's slightly lower sits on top of it, the orange. The one that's slightly less than that, the yellow, sits on top of that, and at the very top is the green. So you can sort of see our rainbow in here.
I have an idea. We pour the orange into the red, and we pour the green into the yellow.
Well, we could try. So we can pour it in here. So you can, we'll see if this works. Sometimes when you force them to mix, when you're pouring and like making a lot of sort of splashing, it doesn't quite, it takes a little longer for it to settle. So orange.
Cute little yellow.
Some cute little yellow.
And then can I pour the green in? Can I pour?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, see, when we make lots of splashes, they really sort of mix up quite a lot. You really have to do it very carefully when you're putting them together.
That looks pretty.
Yeah, it looks just sort of like orange. All right, so go and check on your ice cream. I'm going to check on ours now. I think we've got to start adding a little bit more ice to this. But we've got, oh yeah, it's starting to thicken up a little bit in there. Well, we've really got to shake it around. It's the shaking of that really transfers the temperature in there. In fact, if you want a really cool fact, because ice cream gives you a lot of calories. They actually used to distribute ice cream to American soldiers in the Second World War. And, Tabs, can we be careful not to knock these over? Thank you. They used to distribute ice cream to American soldiers in the Second World War. And because it's so easy to make, what they actually did was they would put little barrels, just like this, of these ingredients together in jet planes. And then they would send them up into the atmosphere where it's really, really cold. And while the jet was mixing up all this stuff close together, really shaking them heavily, and the cold air was keeping them cold, and they'd come down and they'd have these giant barrels of ice cream. So I can't wait either. So we're going to go finish this and eat some ice cream. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye! Tab, say bye.
Bye.